We're going to move from my right to left as we ask the panelists each to take about 5 minutes to say what is on your mind about this subject tonight. Dr. Howard?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That's better.
We got some call and response we need to do here, folks.
Thank you to those who organized and sponsored this event this evening. It is an honor to be a part and to be able to share in this very important dialogue. I come at this reflection and dialogue as an African American clergy person with a bent toward ecumenism and a bent toward theological underpinnings of liberation, justice, and peace. It is the civil rights organization of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in which I lead, and the principles of peace, justice, and equality through which we look at these issues. Having been a Kansas City native and being familiar with the refuse of a so-called community living between the river on the north, Bannister Road on the south, Troost Avenue on the west, and Van Brunt on the east, familiar with so-called communities which have to deal with the refuge or those who somehow don't count in the larger mix of things. So then we come to this conversation aware that on last week I was in New York for a few days and visited two monuments or icons that are testimonies and reminders of who we really are as a nation, the Liberty Memorial and Ellis Island. While there, I was captivated by the rich history embodied and chronicled, yet ever present and real, marked by these words on the pedestal of Lady Liberty. You may be familiar with them from this sonnet, and I quote, "Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs stride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. And, quote, keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. You recognize it. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." End quote. Emma Lazarus's New Colossus. These brief remarks then come at this broad subject from the standpoint of the welcoming and acceptance of Syrians who are the refuse or the victims from such conflict in the world. The question, what does my faith say about this? Firstly, Christianity wonders, in light of the approximate 14 million Syrians who have been impacted in one way or another for the last 5 years of this civil war, if the gates still swing open, if the worldwide welcome still glows, if the golden door still opens, if Mother Exile is still giving birth. Especially in a political and theological climate filled with thought and rhetoric, you've heard it on every network, which seeks to not make America great again. But to the contrary, it seems that the theological and political rhetoric seeks to make her what she has not been since the end of the enslavement of Africans in this country, and that is an inward, isolationist, mono-ethnic, single-cultured, white nationalist, patriarchal, business-oriented, global capitalist corporation. The question my faith raises is, are we as a nation truly a nation, or are we a corporation which seeks to look out for its own profits and wealth and interests at all cost, even if it means allowing the refuse to die as victims of civil wars? Corporations develop wealthy people. Nations develop healthy people. Corporations produce profits. Nations produce people. Corporations make entrepreneurs. Nations make intellectuals, educated, enlightened individuals who grow into their purpose. Corporations build edifices. Nations build institutions. Corporations maintain markets. Nations maintain sustainable communities. Corporations stand on marketing strategies, but nations stand upon moral values. Corporations have fear of failing. Nations have the courage to thrive. Which are we? Nations receive those who are the refuge and victims of civil wars. So then, what is the question of the day as I close in these brief comments? Well, the question centers around the focus of a man, Jesus of Nazareth, who was actually a Jewish person and whose life, ministry, and legacy has been taken upon as the Christian faith that I espouse. In one of the Gospels, this prophet, savior, rabbi, teacher looked around at all of the folks that were harried and harassed. He described them like this: they were sheep without a shepherd. And when he looked at them, he did not label them refuge. He did not label them refugee. He did not label them the refuse. He did not say to them, go back to Rome or go back to Caesar, to the one who has oppressed and victimized you. When he looked at them, he saw them for who they were, and he saw them as harvest. They were rich, valuable contributors to the Christian faith. What is this last point from my faith's perspective? Is that Christianity, if it is true to itself, should remain the most prominent advocate of the acceptance and welcoming of refugees in the world. That if the corporations won't do it, and even if nations who act like corporations won't do it, I stand in the Christian faith, proclaiming a gospel of love that receives all who would want to come. This is our statement.